Nikki?
2026 has been a crazy year for horror fans. We've had terrifying monsters, disturbing psychological thrillers, cursed objects, demonic entities, and some of the most intense horror sequences we've seen in years. But with so many horror movies released, one question remains. Which ones are actually worth watching? Today, we're counting down the 10 best horror movies of 2026, from creepy slow burn nightmares to full-blown heart-pounding terror. And trust me, my number one pick isn't just scary. It's the kind of movie that sticks in your head for days after you've watched it. So grab the lights, lock your doors, and let's get into it. 10. The Monkey. Starting off the list at number 10, we have The Monkey. Now, if you've ever seen an old toy sitting in a dark corner and thought, yeah, that's definitely possessed, this movie is basically that fear brought to life. Based on a Stephen King story, The Monkey takes a simple concept and turns it into a nightmare. Every time the monkey appears on screen, you know something horrible is about to happen. What I loved most is that the film doesn't rush. It slowly builds tension, making you uncomfortable before delivering its scares. It's creepy, fun, disturbing, and exactly the kind of horror movie Stephen King fans will enjoy. 9. Smile 2. At number 9, we have Smile 2. The original Smile surprised a lot of people. What looked like a typical horror movie ended up being one of the creepiest psychological horror films in years. The sequel takes everything that worked in the first movie and pushes it further. The smiles are somehow even more disturbing. The paranoia is stronger, and the feeling that something is watching you never goes away. This isn't the type of horror movie that scares you with loud noises every 5 minutes. Instead, it slowly gets into your head, and that's what makes it terrifying. 8. Companion. Coming in at number 8 is Companion. This movie flew under the radar for a lot of people, but those who watched it know exactly why it's on this list. The less you know going in, the better. What starts as one thing quickly becomes something completely different. The story constantly surprises you, and every time you think you figured it out, the movie pulls the rug out from under you. It's smart, suspenseful, and proof that horror doesn't always need monsters to be effective. 7. Terrifier 3. At number 7, we have Terrifier 3. Now let's be honest. Art the Clown has officially become one of the most recognizable horror villains of this generation. He's silent, he's unpredictable, and somehow that's what makes him even scarier. Terrifier 3 gives fans exactly what they came for: brutal kills, disturbing imagery, and non-stop tension. This isn't a movie for everyone. It's intense, graphic, and absolutely ruthless. But if you're a hardcore horror fan, it's impossible to ignore the impact this franchise has had. 6. Weapons. At number 6 is Weapons. This movie is a perfect example of how mystery can make horror even more effective. From the opening scenes, you're asking questions. What's happening? Why is it happening? And who can be trusted? The film slowly unravels its secrets while keeping you completely hooked. Some horror movies rely on scares, Weapons relies on suspense, and sometimes suspense is far more powerful. 5. Nosferatu. Breaking into the top 5, we have Nosferatu. This isn't just a horror movie, it's an experience. Every frame feels like a piece of gothic art. The cinematography is beautiful, dark, and haunting. And then there's Count Orlok. Every time he appears on screen, the atmosphere instantly changes. You feel uncomfortable. You feel nervous. You feel like something terrible is about to happen. This movie proves that horror doesn't need constant jump scares to be effective. Sometimes atmosphere alone can create fear. 4. 28 Years Later. At number 4, we have one of the most anticipated horror movies of the decade, 28 Years Later. Fans waited years for this sequel, and thankfully it was worth the wait. The infected remain some of the most terrifying creatures ever put on screen. They're fast, they're aggressive, and when they attack, chaos follows. But what makes this franchise special isn't just the horror, it's the humanity. Beneath all the violence and survival, there's always an emotional story about people trying to stay alive in a world that has completely fallen apart. 3. The Conjuring: Last Rites. Taking the number 3 spot is The Conjuring: Last Rites. The Conjuring franchise has given us some of the most iconic horror moments of the last decade, and this movie reminds everyone why. Instead of relying on endless jump scares, it focuses on atmosphere. You'll spend entire scenes waiting for something to happen. And when it finally does, it hits hard. The movie feels like a return to everything fans loved about the earlier Conjuring films. Creepy, suspenseful, and genuinely frightening. 2. The Mummy. Just missing out on the top spot is The Mummy, directed by Lee Cronin. When people hear The Mummy, many think of adventure movies. This is not that. Lee Cronin takes the legendary monster and turns it into something truly terrifying. The film leans heavily into horror, using ancient curses, body horror, and supernatural dread to create a constant sense of fear. The visuals are disturbing, the atmosphere is oppressive, and some scenes are genuinely nightmare fuel. This is exactly what a modern horror version of The Mummy should be. 1. Obsession. And finally, our number 1 horror movie of 2026 is Obsession. What makes Obsession special is that it doesn't rely on monsters, ghosts, or endless jump scares. Instead, it focuses on something much more terrifying: the human mind. As the story unfolds, the line between reality and paranoia begins to disappear. You start questioning everything. The characters question everything. And by the end, you're completely trapped inside the movie's nightmare. The tension never lets go. The performances are incredible, the twists hit hard, and the psychological horror lingers long after the credits roll. Many horror movies scare you for 2 hours. Obsession stays with you for days, and that's why it's our number 1 horror movie of 2026. So that's our list of the top 10 best horror movies of 2026. Did your favorite movie make the list? Do you agree with our number 1 pick? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more movie rankings, reviews, and horror content. Thanks for watching, and tonight, maybe sleep with the lights on.